This is Paul McGann, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode number 73 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Death. For most of us, it's a given thing, but for some of our fandoms, not so much. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going around the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Belvedere.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
This is Mitch in Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello everyone.
Hello.
We have got a lot to talk about this week. Thankfully, it was a slow news week, so we're going to skip news and get straight into the good stuff. My heart is already pounding, considering the things we need to talk about. And they're fresh in my mind, too, because I just got caught up in the last day or two. So this should be fun. So, like we mentioned last week that we were potentially going to squeeze in both Once Upon a Time and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to do that. This is going to be fun.
So prepare for roller coaster.
Yeah. And I guess we can
we'll try to follow the captain's rules of watching language.
Yes.
Yeah, because my brain did not almost made me say some
bad things.
that
Yeah.
you would not have been happy.
Yeah. Our Facebook chats are way more colorful than the way we talk here on the podcast. So, I guess easiest way is to do these in the order that they aired as far as mid-season finales go. So let's do Once Upon a Time first. Let's just throw the knife right in and twist it a few times. Yeah.
Turn, you rumble!
I will say of the two, Once left me less surprised. It didn't leave me less angry, but it left me less surprised.
Yeah.
If that gives it any sort of points, which I don't think it does. So obviously we talked about the first couple episodes when the season started with the whole, where we thought the whole Dark Swan, which I don't think any of us still like that title. We prefer Dark Savior storyline, but especially the last 2 or 3 episodes of this half of the season, the focus really became just what happened in Camelot to Emma to get her to this point. The whole King Arthur thing almost took a back seat. He was there, but he really wasn't doing anything. Thank goodness, because he really was useless to begin with. But we all had the theory that Emma had gone dark, not because she succumbed to the darkness because of Emma's whole tragic being hurt by those that she loved, abandonment issues type thing, that we all kind of thought that maybe there was an ulterior, not an ulterior motive, but something else that happened while they were in Camelot that caused Emma to get to this dark place and truly become the Dark One. And Lordy, it did.
Yeah.
There's a little incident with a little sword called Excalibur that gave Hook a little paper cut.
Yeah. And it's kind of going along with the librarian's theory of Excalibur. Those wounds from Excalibur are mortal and cannot be healed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So Emma, being Emma and can't stand losing Hook, can we blame her? Decides to bind Hook's life to Excalibur, which Excalibur is also the dagger for the Dark One, therefore making Hook a Dark One. Yeah, pretty much. That's the way we all reacted when we saw it. Like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know there could be multiple dark ones at the same time.
I didn't either.
I thought it was a once and done. But I guess, you could...
With the sword broken in two halves, it does kind of allow for the possibility.
Well, yes.
It's just not something we thought of.
Yeah.
It's something that occurred to us that the other half of Excalibur could also be used to make a dark one.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, just, they're kind of taking a play out of Joss Whedon's playbook about having more than one Slayer at the same time.
I've not watched Buffy, so I'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Kind of works, but a little bit of a stretch. I won't spoil it.
Yeah, well, because
In case you
decide to watch it at some point.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Happens early on that allows for two Slayers.
Mm.
Like, end of season 1, I think it was.
Yes.
Something happens, and it allows for two Slayers.
Okay, then.
And I'm not going to say what, because spoilers.
Exactly. Well, but still, it's a pretty big part of that first season.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, yeah, I mean, when you think of it, it's like, as far as real estate on the blade, there's room for multiple names, depending on what size font you use, if you really wanted to. So, but, I mean, they'd talked about how the two pieces came together to make Excalibur whole, but in my mind, it was always, there's Excalibur, and then there's the blade of the Dark One, and even though they're part of the same sword, to me, they were different entities. But, like you said, once you put the two pieces together, or even when they're apart, it's two separate pieces. But by the time Hook became the Dark One, Excalibur had been reforged, and it just had both Emma and Killian's name on the blade.
Once it was reforged, it could no longer be used to control either of them.
Well, yes, but it's still deadly.
Yeah, it can still be used to kill them, but holding it won't allow you to control them.
Right. I thought it did, though. Because wasn't Emma able to summon Killian?
And when he fought Rumpelstiltskin, that the sword could no longer be used to control him.
Mm.
He said that. Like that, it could still be used to kill him, but not to control him.
Oh, I missed that then.
Yeah,
the whole mythos behind the Dark One and the Dark One's abilities and what it means to be the Dark One, it really expanded with the storyline. Up until this point, it was Rumpel's the Dark One, and he has this magic, and magic comes with a price, dearie. But we get the backstory to one of the first Dark Ones, which turns out to be Nimue. Which I've watched other adaptations with, like, Merlin and stuff, and Nimue's always just been this wonderful woman who loves Merlin so much and will wait for him till they can spend the rest of their lives together. So they took this and turned it on its head. A little bit. And the idea of the blade for the Dark One, where it came from, it was originally forged by Merlin from the Holy Grail. Is that right? Was that what that was? The Holy Grail?
I'm thinking so.
yeah.
So I'm a little, and I have to go back and rewatch when we get in, and Merlin and Merlin offering to have his magic taken away from him so that he and Nimue can live a life together. Very Doctor Who-ish that way. like our lifespans don't match up, sort of thing. But the entity that had destroyed Nimue village, was that the very first Dark One, or is that just some sort of evil being?
I think it's just an evil thing.
It was just an evil thing.
Because they said several times that Nimue was the first Dark One.
Okay. So it was just some sort of dark being.
Yeah.
That was wreaking havoc in the land. But excuse me. Woo. So yeah, this whole thing with Merlin being stuck in the tree and then getting out of the tree, and him going to take the darkness out of Emma, but then stuff happens because Arthur is a word I'm not going to use on this podcast because we try to keep this family friendly. Yeah, very rotten so-and-so. So Killian ends up getting hurt, getting cut by Excalibur, and like we said, all wounds from Excalibur are cannot be healed. They're fatal, unless you bind that person's life to the sword and make them a Dark One. And that's what we end up finding out. And I don't know. There's part of me that's like, I understand why Killian did what he did after he finds out. I know Emma had wiped their memories, but I'm still somewhat wondering how Killian couldn't have known that something was different about him, even without having the memories of what happened in Camelot. You would think if you had the power of the Dark One that you'd maybe feel a little different. I would think. Maybe. I would think so, but apparently not. At least in Killian's case. And maybe that's because Killian has always had, he was a villain. And he's always had some darkness within him. And even though he's no longer considered a villain and doesn't consider himself a villain, that maybe he didn't really feel any different because he was always fighting the darkness within him to begin with. I don't know. I'm going all like Dr. Phil on trying to psychoanalyze Killian Jones now. This would be a good time to have Chrissy in this conversation because she knows Killian.
Well, it was nice seeing Killian's father too in this.
Yeah, in the flashbacks there in the mid-season finale, but I understand why they did it as far as the plot goes, but considering how far Killian has come as a character, to have him turn so quickly on Emma like that, I don't know if it's just because it was tough for me to watch.
That he's been fighting the darkness for centuries, so obviously this is something that's a part of him, and it just
exactly
took becoming the Dark One for him to lose that battle.
Maybe, yeah, and that's and logically I understand that, just based off of where we know he's come from as a character. But I think it was just really tough to watch him turn like that, and so quickly. And having Zelina around did not help any whatsoever.
No, she was just kind of good. Pride.
Yeah. She
this
just...
morning, and I'm just like, Zelina, don't taunt another Dark One.
Yeah.
For to kind of go, heart, crush, bye-bye.
Yeah. She knows where the wounds are. And she just likes to pick at them and poke and prod just to get the people to react to the pain and do her dirty work, although she's more than happy to do her dirty work herself too. But if she can have someone help with the dirty work, Zelena, you love to hate her, and she, God bless Rebecca. She does Zelena so well. She knows she's bad, and she does not care.
Yeah, she just revels in it.
She loves being the Wicked Witch. What was it? What was that line? It's like, once you
go green.
Once you go green, you never go queen.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Oh, I need that on a shirt.
And Missy is just like, oh, pure. Get the two of them, those two in a room, and yikes.
Yeah, the universe would end. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's a bad combo. Oh, don't ever allow that happen. Although, Rebecca is the British orientation, so she can end up a Doctor Who at some point. I mean, even I don't think Zelena is first thing, Zelena doesn't want to be redeemed. That's the biggest thing. But Zelena is not redeemable, and she doesn't care that she's not redeemable. And, I'm sure that a lot of us, or at least some of us, thought that maybe once she had her baby, motherhood may soften her a little. Heck no.
She does not want to be saved.
No.
She'll drag her heels kicking and screaming.
No. She is as brazen and bold, and she goes up to Regina and Robin Hood and said, I am taking sole custody of my daughter, and I'm going to teach her how to be evil. Mm-hmm.
So we'll have Papa Bear on that.
Yeah. And of course, Robin tries to be the voice of reason. It's like, she's my baby too. And Zelena just does not care. And that's going to come back to bite them in the butt. Although for now, Zelena has been relocated. has temporarily, I'm sure temporarily, been relocated back to Oz, courtesy of Regina. Although I was watching it and Zelena's like, you'll see, you haven't seen the last of me. I'm like, yeah, I'm guessing we're not. You're gonna pop back. I'm like, yeah, aren't ya? When we don't know, but we've not seen the last of Zelena. Although baby Robin Hood, does she even have a name? Does the baby have a name yet? No.
Not yet.
So baby Hood, last we saw was safely with the fairies, according to Robin. Which at this point is probably the best place for her. Her and baby Neil are safely away with the fairies.
Baby Neil still being really small.
Yes, baby Neil has not grown up.
He doesn't seem to have grown at all in the 6 weeks they were in Camelot.
Nope. I mean, we don't know what kind of growth that baby Hood is gonna see, considering Zelena's pregnancy was fast forwarded.
True. Yeah.
Who knows what kind of effect that's gonna have on that baby. Although that was very smart that they put that in there so that we didn't have to drag out Zelena's pregnancy for who knows how long.
Yeah.
That, and it gets her back into her fabulous outfits that Zelena likes to wear so much. And we'll give her that. She's got some classy clothes. But enough about Zelena. This is about Emma and Hook. And Emma thinking that she needs to be the savior and has to fix all the problems without anyone's help. You would think after, 4.5 seasons that Emma will learn how to ask for help. I'm just saying. Emma may want to look into maybe saying Jiminy Cricket for therapy. I'm just saying.
Where is he anyway?
I don't know where he is, but he needs to come back and start doing some serious one-on-one therapy with Emma. That girl is good.
When they get back from the underworld.
Yeah. If they can bring Dr. Whale back to deliver Zelina's baby, we can bring back the town shrink. A lot of people are kind of unspoken for at this point. I mean, we can kind of safely assume that the people, like the people we aren't seeing are off doing their own thing. So, although last time we saw Ruby, actually Ruby was off with Mulan. And obviously the fairies are babysitting, so we know where they are. But yeah. And hopefully we'll see with, because we just, based on what we know of the upcoming, the second half of the season, that we're going to see more potentially of Ruby and Mulan. So with them going back to the Enchanted Forest, that part of the world, that maybe we'll see some others. Have they said yet if we're going to see Sleeping Beauty or not? Does anyone remember? If she would be coming back? I don't remember.
I forgot who's like.
It's hard to keep track. Yeah, I know, because at this point they're like, well, they're bringing back Regina's mother and father for the big 100th episode, and
Peter Pan, yay!
And Peter Pan's coming back, and then they're also bringing in Hercules and Meg, which I don't know if you guys had seen that.
I had not.
No? Oh, surprise!
No, but I was like talking, like, because since they're going to the underworld, I was like, when are they going to bring Hades?
I know. I haven't seen. I haven't seen any news that they're bringing in Hades. And actually, I was talking with Chrissy's sister. She was asking me about what I thought about the finale. And we were talking about the fact that, going into the underworld, it makes sense to bring in Hercules and Meg, and I hope they bring in Hades. And it's a long stretch, but I'm really hoping they get James Woods to do Hades. Please make it happen. He's already Hades in the cartoon. Why not? It would work. It would work on so many levels. I'm probably going to be thoroughly disappointed, but at this point, I'm like, start a petition. We need James Woods as Hades on Once Upon a Time. I just want.
They have this big secret they somehow kept from us, and then when it comes back, and he's like, we all like faint.
Yeah. I'd be like, yes, this is the best thing ever. I just watched Hercules the other night, so I'm all like, yes. Please, we need Hades. Bring in James Woods. Make it happen. Paint him blue. Figure out how to do the. You can do the fire on the head as a CGI thing. Make it happen.
I'm getting all excited over something that might not even happen.
Yeah, I know. I almost feel like I shouldn't have said anything, but
yeah.
It can just be something that we can potentially look forward to, and it probably won't happen, but we can maybe, just maybe. So anyway, but yeah, the whole underworld thing, and then the news that I don't know how long ago it was that they said that they were bringing in Hercules. Obviously, we didn't talk about it in the news. That you guys didn't. Some of you didn't know.
I think I remember hearing people speculating it could be possible or they would want it to happen, but I don't.
I saw an official announcement from the Once Upon a Time camp. They didn't have casting yet, but they said that they were doing Hercules. So.
What?
but I can't remember how. It's been a month, maybe 2. Fandom news, it's like...
Oh,
Did we lose you, Mitch? You having issues?
well, my internet went out, and so I missed what you were talking about just there.
Oh. I was trying to remember when I saw that announcement about Hercules and Meg coming to Once Upon a Time, and I can't remember. Because I'm old like that, and I don't write things down.
If they bring Hades, my dream is that they get James Woods to reprise his role.
That's what we were talking about.
Oh, okay, sorry, I had to step out real quick. Okay.
Yeah, I was like
Get with it here, Holly.
Sorry.
I just spent 5 minutes saying, yes, please bring in James Woods to play Hades. But see, now I'm not alone in my desire to bring in James Woods to play Hades. And then we were lamenting about how that would make us very happy, but it's probably not going to happen.
As fangirls can dream.
Yes, we can dream. I just want him to be with the face and the they can do the CGI hair, and I want him to go 2 thumbs way up, and have the little flames sticking out.
About the TV line article, I'm just gonna see about putting it in the Skype chat.
No, okay.
Okay.
Just to see him and Bobby Carlisle go toe to toe, that would be.
Yeah.
I'd pay to see that.
That would be nice. That would be awesome.
Oh, I think I'm reading the same article.
Oh. Now, even though I just watched this the other day, it's...
Are you reading the TV line or the EW article?
I'm actually reading. It's called Movie Phone, but it's like talking a little bit. They have a bit from TV line.
Mm.
Let me see if I can.
Here's the TV line.
Yeah, that's probably what it is I saw. I saw it somewhere sometime doing something. And for those of you listening that have not seen the animated Hercules movie, go see it.
Yes.
It's on Netflix.
How did you? I don't know.
It's cute.
It's one of my favorites.
Very cute. Yeah, Danny DeVito is
Exactly.
Phil.
I think this is.
Here's the EW article.
It was one of those I saw. You know, one of them puts an article out, and then the others just kind of copy and put their own spin on it out there. So I'm not crazy. Yay! I actually did read it somewhere. Otherwise, I was going to feel really dumb there.
I just searched Hercules and Meg in OUAT.
Yeah.
And it came up with a bunch of articles from a bunch of different places. So
They look young, like I wonder how I don't know.
How early it's gonna be, yeah.
And Rachel, considering where you've been for about the last week,
Yeah.
you get a pass.
Well, yes, that's true. I left my brain in California. It got there before I did, and then it didn't come home with me. That's my excuse. Oh.
How long are you gonna use that excuse?
We'll see. Oh. Now, someone correct me, but did Gold go with them to the underworld, or did he stay behind? Or he go with them? I don't remember him getting in the boat.
I don't remember.
I think he.
I can't.
I think he did.
Yeah.
Because wasn't he the one who cut his hand?
Well, yeah, I know he's the one that opened the portal to get them there, I mean, I can't imagine them leaving him behind in Storybrooke to his own devices.
I'm thinking he might have gone along with them just from that preview for when they came back in March. I think Pan might have been talking to Rumple, but I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure from that preview clip.
You would think since I just watched that I could remember, but actually the my internet was really, the video was real choppy, so actually I'm gonna blame it on that. The image was bad. It's not because I wasn't paying attention, so I couldn't see it that well. So, of course, now, you know, if Gold did go with him, he once again is leaving Belle behind, and Belle's gonna wonder, where the heck did Rumple go? And Gold. So close. So close to switching to the good side, and
it was all
like I was saying, I was like, he was finally being a good guy and getting Belle and back and like all of that, and then all of a sudden, like, really? I kind of like wish that the writers would like go away from the dark one, like, I don't know, bring another villain. Or something.
Yeah,
But,
I was really hoping that maybe the whole
one.
Dark One thing would be vanquished completely, and then we wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. Because this whole Gold taking a step forward and then taking like 50,000 steps back is extremely frustrating.
Yep.
I know I've talked about this before when we're talking Once Upon a Time. It's just, it seems like he makes some progress and then he reverts back to his old ways, and it seems worse than ever before, and it's just they've done such a good job with people like Regina and Hook and giving them really good character development. I mean, people like Zelina's case. Zelina's evil. She knows she's evil. She doesn't care. Therefore, she's not redeemable. It doesn't matter. But someone like Gold, who could potentially be redeemed and be a really good hero, and they're just not doing it with the writing, and I just want to slap someone.
I know. Well, and time after time, again, how many times has he said he became the Dark One because of his son?
Mm-hmm.
And then, and now with him having all the powers of the Dark One now, what in the heck is that going to mean? Are we going to have a Emperor Palpatine Dark One?
I
No?
honestly, I don't know.
Good.
I don't know.
Yikes.
It either needs to, at this point, with this much dark power potentially within Gold, it either needs to destroy him completely and be done with it, which would suck because I love Robert and he does a really good job as Rumple. Or they need to figure out how to eradicate the Dark One absolutely positively, so he has no choice. If he continues to be evil, it's not because he has this power, it's because that is who he truly is in his heart. And I don't think he is.
No.
I don't think Rumple is inherently evil. I think he's a very flawed individual, just like Emma. But he's so vulnerable to that power and addicted to it. He's like a drug addict. I think we talked about this before, comparing him to a drug addict. And he needs, you would think getting to the point where his heart was completely black and then getting wiped completely clean would be like the ultimate rehab.
Yeah.
But it's not. Frustrating because I love Rumple and I love Robert comparing him to someone like Regina, who has come so far, and to not get Rumple to the same place or even close to the same place, it's just And I really hope that they have a long, maybe they're playing the long game, but we need to get to the end of that long game at some point as far as the writing goes, because I can't take much more. I feel for Belle.
Mhm.
I really
Oh, yeah.
do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm just waiting for Regina to be like, okay, teacher, it's now time for me to teach you a couple of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Regina needs to like bring down the wrath of a former dark and evil person or something.
Yep.
She needs to bring him to church.
Yep.
The church of redeemed evil ones.
Yes. It's not as bad as you think it might be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not easy turning a leaf, but it pays off. Or at least it's getting there. I mean, I think Regina and Robin are still gonna face some issues because Alina is still out there, unfortunately, and she's not gonna give up easily. But for right now, it's pretty good in Outlaw Queen world. There's an echo. So that's where we are at this point. People got on a boat and are off to the underworld to see what happens. I think I said that in the chat. I said I kind of get a Pirates of the Caribbean feel, like, oh, we got to go save Captain Jack from Davy Jones's locker.
And we go to Bizarro World Storybook from the looks of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would hope that by the end of this that they are successful in saving Hook.
Yeah, me too.
Considering he was no longer a Dark One when he died. That if they are able to bring him back, that he'll be the Hook that we know and love. I hope.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't think Emma's gonna. I don't think Emma can make it. Well. After that, let's talk Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh boy.
Maybe we should have done this in the opposite order, because now I'm going to get really mad. Really mad. Oh, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Where do I even want to start with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Just when we thought things were going okay.
Yeah. Once upon a time in a land called S.H.I.E.L.D.
Can we start with positive things? Because I really like that one Inhuman discovering he was bulletproof when the bullets melted.
Oh, yes.
I love that.
That was
bit.
good. Added bonus effect to being able to melt metal.
They tried to shoot him, but the bullets melted when they got close to him. He's like, I'm bulletproof.
Yeah. As long as the bullets are metal.
I'm so happy about being bulletproof. That was adorable.
Yes, it was. Excuse me. Yes, that was definitely a high point. Everyone, both Fitz and Coulson, came back from the alien planet That was a big positive as well. I was really concerned there. It's like, well, they were able to save Gemma the first time. Are we going to be as lucky the second time?
Right.
And
did they tempt fate one too many times?
Exactly, and thankfully we didn't.
They had Hydra on their tails.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I was really concerned there. It was like, they saved Gemma. Gemma was stuck for 6 months, but we didn't drag that out for too long. We got her experience back, in flashbacks and that sort of thing. It's like, are we going to be this lucky this time around? Or are Fitz and Coulson going to get stuck and that's going to be a whole thing for the next half of the season? No, thankfully,
that would have been an evil cliffhanger,
it was an evil cliffhanger regardless, but
true.
we'll get to that. So
evil being the
we'll get to that. So let's backtrack here a little bit, just a little. So Gemma, as we know, got sucked in by the monolith to this alien planet. She got rescued. She had been rescued by the time we were talking about the season premiere several episodes ago on the podcast. So we don't really necessarily need to go through the heart palpitations we had with Gemma's rescue again. But we get Gemma's story of her 6 months stuck on the planet. We find out that she's not alone on this planet. There's another human being there, for one. Will, who is an astronaut who had been there for quite a while before Gemma got there and had managed to survive up to that point. And he was the reason that Gemma was able to survive up until the point where Fitz got to rescue her. But there is another entity on this planet. We still don't know what the name of the planet is. I don't know if we'll ever find out the official name of it. There's people speculating based on, in the comics, what it potentially could be, but they haven't flat out said a name from the comics.
Been made official.
Yeah, nothing's been made official.
There's just headcanons.
Yeah, exactly. So there's this other entity, being, creature, thing on this planet, along with Gemma and Will, and again, they don't really give it a name. At this point, based on what's been said on the show and what people know of the comics, and it's still somewhat headcanon, but it seems like at this point that this is where they're going, is that entity is death. Literal death. Not like something that's going to kill you, but death from the comics. Death is an actual character from the comics, which has the ability to take different forms. Generally, Death likes to take the form of a woman, and actually married Thanos at one point in the comics. So you can see where there's a little potential connection there, considering we know Thanos is coming in the cinematic universe.
Eventually.
Mm-hmm. And Death in the comics is the only being, creature, thing, whatever title you want to give it, that Thanos is afraid of. Hence the Infinity Gauntlet. Because, in theory, with the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones, that Death could potentially be conquered. But in the meantime, at least in one storyline, that Thanos and Death get married at one point. I think. I haven't actually read the comics. This is all based on what I've read from Wikipedia and all that. So thank you, people out there that know the comics better than I do, for filling in the gaps for me. And considering they keep referring to it as Death on the show, again, that also makes it kind of headcanon that's who this is, because the characteristics fit, I guess. Especially considering what we saw in the finale, where it took Will's place, essentially, Will's form, and then someone else's. But we'll get to that in a second. So there's this planet, and this creature wasn't inhuman back when the Inhumans originally came to Earth, which is some of the story that we got from Jiaying back in last season, and Reyna. Some of the backstory of the Inhumans, that the Kree had come to Earth and did experiments on the human race and created the Inhumans. And there was this one particular Inhuman that got sent via the monolith to this distant planet. And Hydra, we now have more Hydra backstory than we originally had. Hydra is no longer an organization created by Red Skull. That Hydra actually goes way further back than that. And Hydra was originally formed as an organization to try and figure out how to get this particular Inhuman back from this planet, back to Earth. And we get that lovely backstory from a very familiar face. Which I was watching on the flight home from California, actually. I was watching the Avengers, and we get to that first shot where Nick Fury is talking to the S.H.I.E.L.D. Council, and Gideon's face pulls up, and Chauncey's watching his own things. I'm slapping him on the shoulder and I'm pointing to the screen to get it. Like, here's Hydra! Hydra! So yeah, even at this point, if you've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you haven't figured out who that guy is, go watch the first Avengers movie. Put two together there really quickly. Turns out Alexander Pierce was not the highest ranking S.H.I.E.L.D. official who had ties to Hydra. Thank you very much. Dang Hydra, they keep popping up. Not just Ward. Well, we'll get to Ward. So Hydra has been working for thousands and thousands of years. In that flashback that we got early on in the season of those guys coming together and drawing lots to figure out who was going to be the one using to go into the monolith, we can probably safely assume that those guys were Hydra as well.
That's probably a good guess.
Yeah, I think so. So Gideon is pulling his strings as a Hydra person. Ward is doing his thing, thinking he's going to be the new head of Hydra, not realizing that Gideon's out there until Gideon makes himself known. And then they team up, but that's not till after Ward, being the big old so-and-so. You think I had bad words for King Arthur, and are nothing compared to the words I could use to describe Grant Ward. But again, I'm going to keep it PG. So, Ward, oh, where do I want to start with Grant Ward? I don't know where. Oh, God, he makes me so mad. So, Ward decides that he needs to play the games with S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess is the best way to put it. And that includes trying to take a hit out on Andrew, which up to that point, we all liked Andrew a lot, and we're actually quite mad when it seemed like he died. And then we were more mad after we find out that he didn't die, and we find out why. So, God, Ward. I just want to take a number and get in line behind May and Lance and Bobby and Coulson and just play whack-a-mole with Grant Ward's head. But in the process of Ward and his little cronies and I don't remember what the kid's name was. I kept calling him Von Strucker's Jr. Junior Von Strucker. Trying to get him to be the one to take out Andrew, that we actually find out that Andrew is Lash. Color me surprised. Seriously, color me surprised. Chauncey says that he figured it out, that Andrew was Lash, before we actually found out that Andrew was Lash, but he didn't say anything to me, so I think he's lying. I think he just said that.
I haven't gone back and watched any, but I don't even see any, like, hints that it could have been him.
I didn't. I honestly didn't. I try to keep, especially with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I try to keep as eagle eye on stuff as possible. Obviously, some stuff goes over my head because I don't have the comics knowledge to be like, oh, that's a reference to that one thing. But yeah, no, I did not see any sort of indication that Andrew was Lash at all. And I think they did that on purpose, because even Melinda didn't know. Of course, May didn't really know about Lash because she'd been on vacation. But, I mean, she and Andrew had kind of been back together since the end of the last season. And, I mean, him becoming Lash was no fault of his own. It's not, he didn't know he was an Inhuman. Or it was that they had sent him some of Jane's things, and one of them included a book that she had booby-trapped so that whoever opened it would get a nice Terrigan bath, and they would either become an Inhuman or they would die. And it just so happens that Andrew had the potential to be an Inhuman and becomes this Sonic the Hedgehog on steroids.
I wonder if we're ever going to find out how he became Lash. Unless I missed it.
You did.
Okay.
You did.
I've had one of those.
Yeah.
I've had a few of those weeks where wasn't paying attention as closely as I should have.
It was several episodes ago, and it was a short scene, and he I think he even said to Coulson maybe after the fact how exactly it happened, but I don't think we've really gotten, other than just why his particular Inhuman ability is one that's so bloodthirsty. If that's just a luck of the draw, or in this case, unluck of the draw, with when you become your Inhuman and person and come into your powers, that sometimes they're just bad, or if there were some underlying like personality things that maybe him getting these abilities pump that up, or what. It would be an interesting thing for them to maybe explore. I don't know if they ever will. It may be pointless at this juncture with where they're going as far as the story goes. But yeah, because I mean, we've seen, obviously we saw Sky turn into Daisy, and essentially remain herself, but more confident in herself. And Link, we didn't see Lincoln change, but Lincoln is generally a good guy for the most part, and Joey, the new guy, he was scared at first, his own, and thankfully he was bulletproof, but he was ready to jump in between bullets and Sky to save her. So I mean, he's definitely becoming um, a better person, and more confident in himself. But yeah, it would be interesting to see, why, considering the Andrew that we knew before seemed to be a pretty nice guy. Obviously he and May had issues, but a lot that really had nothing to do, I think, with his personality. It was more May, I think. Well, it was a little both. I think they were both guilty in their relationship failing in the first time, at least. But for him to become, it's almost like a I don't want to say Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, because that's Daisy's father. And we saw that he was not really a good person to be. I'm sure he's probably a decent person before he started experimenting on himself, but he was a very flawed person to begin with, I think, and that his experimentations just exacerbated that. But for Andrew to go from being just this quiet guy, therapist type person, to becoming Lash and just being this bloodthirsty, doling out vengeance on Inhumans as he sees fit, it just seems a bit extreme. To have that big of a personality change, and how much of that is Andrew and how much of that is the Inhuman change. I guess it would be interesting to see. Get more into the psychology. Let's hear. I'm going to try to get all psychological again on people. I get all Dr. Phil on people or something. And now he's out there on the loose again, so and whether Lincoln had said that eventually he would turn into Lash and stay Lash, whether it's going to be at that point now, or if we'll see Andrew again as Andrew, or if he'll stay Lash permanently from this point forward. But they have bigger issues. Although that's a pretty big issue, but they have even bigger issues. At least at this point, Fitz and Simmons are together. That's a nice plus, I guess. They're not together, but they're on the same planet, in the same room, which is a good thing. So I felt bad for Gemma there, because Mac comes back with Daisy and Coulson and Fitz, and Gemma goes running up to the pod hoping that Will is in there, and she realizes he's not, and she looks so sad. I'm like, oh, Gemma, like, I want you to be happy, but I want you to be happy with Fitz.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Will. Oh. But Will's dead, so there wasn't hope any for the Will and Gemma shippers, I guess, anyway. Unfortunately. Yay for us Fitzsimmons shippers, but not so much for the Will Simmons shippers. Although we did have a nice little Daisy Lincoln moment there towards the end, too.
Yeah.
You
can see where my shipper tendencies
No, really? Maybe, just maybe, there's hope for some of our babies there in the future. So, I have not been quiet about my dislike for Coulson and Rosalind. and I despise them together and did not want them together. However, I did not really necessarily want them broken up like that.
No.
No, indeed not. No,
I thought maybe she might die. I didn't think that was how it was gonna happen.
No.
Again, Grant Ward, you miserable so-and-so.
And what he said to Coulson after that was...
Yeah. Like Coulson had a direct hand in Agent 33 dying. That was all May. Of course, Ward has already tried to get his revenge on May by killing Andrew, and that failed. But still, I don't think it was so much... I think Ward did that because he knew that was a good way to get to Coulson and really get him where it hurts. At this point, it's not so much... in Ward's head, it probably still is revenge for Kira's death. But really, Ward is just a psychopath. So he's going to hit them all, would try and hit them all really where it hurts anyway. But to take Rosalind out like that, bleed out in Coulson's hands is a low blow. Really low blow. But really, Ward should have known better and should have known... Because I think Ward thought that maybe Coulson would get so depressed and upset that maybe he would just kind of shrivel up in a corner and die. I don't think he knows Coulson that well then, if that's what he thought was going to happen. Like, in that case, Ward, you're really far off. Again, speculating what Ward was thinking, playing side chair psychoanalyst here. But yeah, he really should have known that Coulson was going to come back swinging and was not going to stop until he had Ward's sawed off head in his hands, really, at this point. And he almost got it too. That's the nice thing about it, is he almost got it. I guess technically he did, if you really want to look at it. So, with Gideon and unfortunately Fitz and Simmons' help, which Chauncey did call this, he said that Fitz and Simmons were going to get kidnapped by Hydra and be used to reopen the portal, and he was right. So with Fitz and Simmons' reluctant help, they get the portal reopened. Fitz goes with Ward and a small group of Hydra cronies to the planet, the alien planet, to bring back Hydra's secret weapon, I guess. They think it's their secret weapon. Honestly, every time Gideon was like, we'll bring the creature back and we can do whatever it is that Hydra does, try to take over the world, I guess. And every time Gideon was like that, said something along those lines, I'm like, yeah, even if you do get it back, I really don't think that Death is going to be a cooperative player in your little plot here. I think that Death is pretty much going to do what Death wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Death is going to care who rescued it from exile. Yeah, you're going to have a mess on your hands, and I'm totally calling that now.
Yep. And Death kind of has one job, and nobody better try to stop him from doing his job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, and Coulson, being either extremely brave or extremely stupid, I still haven't decided yet, man, pulls a Captain America, jumps out of a plane, when he really shouldn't be, but does it anyway. The entire time they're in this plane, and Coulson's standing there like he's gonna jump. He's gonna pull a Steve Rogers. Steve is his idol. He's gonna jump out of that plane. Oh, there goes Coulson. There he goes. He jumped out of the plane. There he goes, and he's through the portal. Coulson, I know you love Captain America, but it may be taking the hero worshipping just a bit too far. But it's all good. So Coulson ends up on the planet as well, unbeknownst to Grant Ward and Fitz and the other cronies that went with him. And Fitz manages to stumble upon Will's underground bunker and convinces Will, you don't see me, but I'm using air quotes, Will to help them to, one, find the creature, and two, find the spot where the portal is going to reopen to get them back. Unfortunately, we find out that Will is dead, as I said earlier, and Death has taken over Will's persona. It does a pretty good job there of being pretty convincing.
I didn't see it
I
until...
didn't realize till Fitz removed that bandage and it was like the bare leg.
Yeah, that's when I'm like, wait a second,
Yeah.
that's not right.
I was a little hesitant. I wasn't sure. I didn't think to that extreme, but I was thinking, can we trust Will? Can we really trust him? I thought maybe he'd turn out to be Hydra. I didn't expect him to turn out to be Death. So once Fitz figures it out, he and Death have a nice little one-on-one, and I think at that point in the chat I said that both Simmons and Fitz really need to work with May on their hand-to-hand combats because neither of them can fight worth a darn.
Yeah, May needs to stage a little intervention training session for those two.
Yeah, it's a little... You can get Daisy
policy.
into help, I guess. So between the two of them, they can whip those two into shape because they keep ending out in the field, and they're not trained.
Nope.
This has been established since the first season.
Methinks there might be a change in the SHIELD handbook. Science techs also need to be trained in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. Thank goodness Fitz knows how to shoot a gun. But that's not always handy.
No.
Especially a flare gun. It was Coulson that took him down with the first few shots. Thankfully, Coulson had some bullets left, considering he'd shot Ward twice up to that point. Because Coulson won't play Nat. But yeah, Fitz eventually thinks he takes Death down with the flare gun, setting the body on fire and melting it essentially, and then the portal's opening and Fitz sees it and he knows that he and Coulson really need to get out of there and make sure that Death doesn't. But Ward is still there. All the other Hydra cronies are dead at this point, thanks to Will. Really efficient knife work. I thought that, because Fitz is yelling at Coulson, he's like, just leave him. And I thought for a second there that maybe Coulson would just leave Ward there and let him try to survive on the planet, but hopefully die, like most everyone else has on this godforsaken planet. But no, Coulson said to Mac before giving Mac, making Mac the standing director of S.H.I.E.L.D., that he would need to cross some lines that a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not supposed to cross. And I think that Coulson definitely did that by not being merciful in any way and just shooting Ward in the head and that being the end of it, he takes that hand of his, that cybernetic Luke Skywalker hand of his, and crushes Ward to death right in the chest. Just presses down to the point where I'm sure he cracked like several ribs and probably his sternum and probably punctured some lungs to the point where just no more Ward. Not a painless and or non-suffering death at all, but really
That was. Oh my.
Yeah, it seems. I'm going to say this. It may seem cruel, but if you've been watching and you've seen what Ward has done, really, it's somewhat fitting. Ward did not deserve a merciful death. As horrible as that may sound, and it as horrible as it was for Coulson to have to get to that point, but really, it's what Ward deserved. Because he had not, he'd crossed a lot of lines, and I don't know. It's a tough thing because I mean it's fictional TV, so it's it's like I wouldn't say I'd want something like that to happen to someone in real life, just because it seemed like a very agonizing way to go, being crushed in the chest and probably having his heart probably somewhat crushed too. But in the universe of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and with the way that Ward has been portrayed as a character, that it seems fitting that he should suffer in the same way that those he has inflicted pain upon have suffered as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't stick. I think that's the worst thing about it, is it doesn't stick. Oh.
And that was when my brain decided to say not nice things.
Yeah. I think the only redeeming thing about it is the Ward that we know is dead. The Grant Ward that we knew up to that point where Coulson got his revenge, that Ward is dead and gone. We can probably assume that this Ward has, because apparently death after being in Will's body, pulled like a Terminator. That's the only thing I could think of, was with like the goo sliding out. I just kept thinking of the Terminator from Terminator 2. You shoot it and it would just come back together. That obviously from what we saw with it taking over Will's body, that it knew who Fitz was and knew enough so that it probably can access the memories and can take on the personality of the person, but it's not that person. They're essentially a zombie. So at this point, this is zombie Ward, I think. So we don't see it happen, but we see this goo stuff slide out of the shell that was Will's body. We see Coulson and Fitz get rescued. And at this point, we can assume that the portal stayed open long enough for the goo to take over Ward's body. Complete with Coulson mechanical hand that he left behind, I guess, as a souvenir for the dead Ward. I don't know. I guess he didn't want to keep that hand so that it wasn't a reminder of what he'd done. That seems more appropriate and more Phil-like, I think. But we see Gideon trying to make his getaway because at this point they've destroyed the castle where they originally rescued Gemma and then Hydra used to reopen the portal, trying to make his getaway. They're like, we'll get you to the airport in 30 minutes, sir. And they stop, and in the middle of the road is Zombie Ward holding Coulson's mechanical hand in his hand. And all Gideon is like, I don't know exactly what Gideon says, like, well, I'll be damned, or something like that. Like, we actually did it. Or, at the very least, he whether Gideon knows that that's not Ward and is actually Death, we don't know. For all we know, he could just be surprised that Ward made it back. And whether Zombie Ward will just pretend that it's regular Ward until it decides to make itself known what it really is up to be determined, I guess, at this point. And we just have to wait till it comes back. But yeah, we got to the end, and you see him standing in the middle of the road, and I was like, oh, no. There were words. There were words. I mean, it makes sense, really. It's the easiest way to bring Death back to Earth and have it walking around not being that creature, Grim Reaper type thing that Gemma saw when she was on the planet. And obviously Will's body is destroyed, so it can't come back using Will's body. So it's a perfect cover at this point until it decides to make itself known. How long that will take, I don't know. Will we pick up right where we left off here come new season, or will we flash forward some? I don't know. Have we gotten any sort of... Has anybody seen, have we gotten any sort of like teaser for the second half of the season like we have for Once Upon a Time? I'm still behind on... I've been on vacation, I don't know.
I haven't seen anything, but then again, I haven't been watching too much of anything lately.
Yeah. I don't know either. Judging by the silence, I'm guessing no.
Not that I've seen.
Okay. So they're going to leave us hanging for now.
Basically, is it March yet?
Yeah, really, at this point. So, is it time for Agent Carter yet?
We still have over a month for that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember when things come on.
Well, since Agent Carter got pushed back, so we're stuck waiting. So it's going to be an interesting ride, because now we have like the ultimate Inhuman now on Earth, and with it working alongside Hydra, if it decides to play along for now, is still yet to be determined. But whether it decides to go and do its own thing, or work alongside Hydra, or do something else, we have a really, really, really dangerous Inhuman now on the planet, and it's going to be really interesting to see what it decides to do and where this goes as far as the storyline, especially going into knowing that Civil War is coming next year.
Mm-hmm.
And will be towards the end of the season, the second half of the season, how this will play into it. Right now, I'm not seeing, based on what we know with going on in Civil War from the one trailer that we got. Brittany, have you seen the trailer yet?
No.
Ugh. That's it. Hand over your nerd card.
I don't. If you look in the holidays, I don't have much time for my fandom.
I'm telling you, take your smartphone with you into the bathroom and multitask.
They have like, I'm drawing a blank on
I'm
those
mostly
things.
kidding, but
I can't have TV, not TV on my phone.
Oh. Well, either way, based on what we know of Civil War, based on the trailer, I'm not seeing a direct connection between the two, but that could change. That could really change as we get into the next season and eventually more more trailers, more teasers, more commercials as we get closer to Civil War. Hello, Star Wars, please stop with the international trailers. We're so close. I don't want to see anymore.
Yeah, but like.
It's going to be interesting. Chauncey and I have talked about this several times. Playing speculation and all that with Civil War and where the MCU is going and all that. And I'm thoroughly convinced that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the MCU are gonna have to cross over. Have a bigger crossover than they have so far.
Like have some of the Avengers on the show, or have the characters.
Exactly. At some point, something is going to have to come to head, and this may be it. This may be it. Having death, or what do you call it, this particular Inhuman on the planet, it may become too big for S.H.I.E.L.D. to handle, and we're going to have to get that Avengers crossover. So, because I can't see them going much longer without the Avengers first finding out that Phil's alive. Because as far as we know, none of them do.
I'm
That's
like
one interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've read some fan fiction, and that's gone everywhere from them, being mad but getting over it, to being so mad that Fury and Coulson kept it secret that they never want anything to do with him ever again. So I'm hoping it's not to that extreme. So, but yeah, eventually their paths are going to have to cross. They're going to have to find out, one, that Coulson is alive. Two, that S.H.I.E.L.D. is still an organization out there, and they're the ones that they can thank for having the helicarrier in Age of Ultron. Hello. That it wasn't just Nick Fury. And three, that Hydra is still out there. Because as far as the Avengers know, they wiped out the last of Hydra in Age of Ultron. And we know that's not the case, because obviously Hydra is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we got Hydra in Ant-Man. And Ant-Man is going to be in Civil War. So this is all, I think we're headed to something big, personally. I think we're headed to something really, really, really big. Obviously, Ant-Man was the end of phase 2. We're going into phase 3 as far as the MCU goes, and I think that it's going to start with a big old doozy with Civil War. And if you're not watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point, seriously, what is wrong with you? Get caught up, people. You're missing some good stuff here. But I won't get up on that soapbox. You know who you are. Want some good Fitzsimmons feels? Can we get some good Fitzsimmons feels?
Yes and no.
Get some Fitzsimmons feels. Even Chauncey is like, he loves Fitz. Fitz is his favorite character, and he loves himself some Fitzsimmons. Not as much, I think, as we do, but he ships it. He doesn't know what shipping is, but he ships it.
I don't think my heart can take too much more of them not getting together. But I swear, some of the whatever gets them apart by the end of this season, I'm gonna get mad.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Well, this has been fun and emotionally draining.
I think we can say that about pretty much all of our mid-season finales shows.
Mid-season, end of season. Yeah, we haven't even gotten to Doctor Who. That's for another show coming up fairly soon, I think. Oh my. Speaking of which, so, speaking of what's coming up, what do we have coming up? Star Wars. Star Wars is what's coming up now. I think, like we said last week, we will try to remain as spoiler-free for Episode 7, just because not everyone's going to make it. Well, there's going to be a lot of that thing with the person and the thing that happened, you know. And if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. And if you haven't, well, you're just going to be really confused. But we'll talk the rest of Star Wars, and we'll talk Clone Wars and Rebels, and maybe you'll get to hear a little bit about the fanaticism that Chauncey and I saw while we were at Disneyland as well. Because it was Star Wars-a-palooza at
Yeah, there's a
Disneyland.
lot of your pictures I think seeing.
Yeah, our Christmas card this year is all pictures from Disneyland, but they're all Star Wars. We have a Star Wars Disneyland themed Christmas card this year because it was Star Wars Palooza. So we'll have Chauncey on next weekend, and we will talk Star Wars, and we'll graze over Episode 7 just in case, for those that don't get to see it right away. And then after that is Christmas, and at the very least we'll be talking about season 9 of Doctor Who. We may talk about the Christmas special as well. Again, it may depend on who's seen it. Hopefully we'll have an easier time seeing the Doctor Christmas special as opposed to Star Wars. I'm hoping. And then after...
It's a little bit more, I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to leave your house.
Exactly.
To see that.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that is Sherlock. Sherlock is coming back for a hot second. So we'll be discussing that. So it's going to be a very Moffat Christmas is what it's going to be. Between Doctor Who and Sherlock, it's going to be Stephen Moffat feels everywhere. And then after that, we don't know yet. Excuse me.
After that Holy Crud, it's going to be 2016.
Mm-hmm. After that, we'll probably do our fandom year in review, more than likely. So, because that's always a fun thing to do, is look back at everything that happened over the year. So.
And from what I can remember, though, we had quite crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always fun. So, well, if you want to discuss Once Upon a Time, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Star Wars, whatever, you can reach us at the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.blogspot.com. There you can find our contact info, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, Goodreads. I don't know what else. I can't keep track. All of the social medias. You can find it on there, so you can get a hold of us any of those ways, whichever you see fit. Tweet us, Instagram us, send us an email, comment on our blog on YouTube. You can comment there. We're also on iTunes. So please, if you have been listening to us via iTunes, please rate the show and leave us a review if you're so inclined. Also on our website is our link to our Patreon page. Obviously, going to the holidays, people are spending money on Christmas presents for friends and family. But if you find yourself with a couple extra bucks and want to send them our way, we greatly appreciate it. We appreciate all of our supporters, whether you send us money or not. But anything you can send our way goes right back into the show, making sure that this podcast continues on and hopefully improves as we go on. So that is it, I think, until we reach a new year and a new month and new photo challenges and new books to read and new fandoms to make us want to rip our heart outs and crush them like the evil queen. So, I need some therapy now or something. I don't know. I need to go watch something happy. Make me feel better. Is Mr. Rogers still on Netflix? Reading Rainbow? How about that? Anyway. And is Mitch back? Oh, Mitch had to step away for a second. I don't think she's back. So, I guess as we sign off for this week, I have to remember that she's not going to be saying anything when it's my turn.
Well, with that,
Yep.
Okay. This is Brittany and Bojo saying goodnight.
This is all from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And if Mitch was here, she would say good night from Kitchener, Ontario. And this is Rachel. I'm not going to try to do a Mitch impression. But this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana, and my feels hurt. My feels hurt.
Yeah.
Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.